Can you guys see this this image? So this is a representation of the same type of field we're going to use. You can see these faded blue lines are right at the bottom of the numbers. So that's where our fields are going to be marked as far as their sidelines are concerned. In this instance, I don't know if this was in Douglas or in Pines, but in this instance, they also put a blue faint paint over their line to gain lines for the girls playing in spring. So this is a very helpful line to have, because if we're working on schools that we're relying on cones, there's going to be some disagreements on in or out. So I don't know if we have the powder or spray removable paint that we can get off after the game if we need to, or if we can just leave these faint lines on during the very short flag season. Those would be very helpful in the accuracy of the sideline calls. Otherwise, we're going to be trying to line up a cone from here with a cone from here, and everything else in between is going to be open green, and we're just going to have to guess. But this is, you can see you've got a single rusher here. They're playing a lot of people back, and your offenses run straight across. So there's not going to be any, you don't have to cover the center. You don't have to be on the line. Everybody can be on the line. So it's a little bit more wide open. And you can see in this instance, the quarterback is at 8 yards. We would like that once we're going to have the referee put the ball down. In this game, the referee just throws beanbags down and the players go out to the beanbags and they start on their own. We prefer not to do that. So we're going to have the referee put the ball down. Once the ball is down, if you look across the field, this is where the down box will be. You notice that this particular site did not use a down box. We will have a down box. And that's going to be operated by your schools, so your ADs should be prepared to provide that. One of the other things is, if we do run lines, then we don't want our markers right on those lines because those obstruct the players. So we're going to want to pull those back a couple of yards. So this is a basic format. I'm going to go ahead and let it run. I believe there is some form of reverse screen. How should I say this? It's not, I wouldn't refer to it as a screen block, but I would refer to it as a screen obstacle. So just hopefully this plays okay. So I don't know if you had a chance to see that. I'm gonna go ahead and jump back 10 and do it a little bit slower. But you'll see that the center backs up as the rusher is coming in, and that's fine. As long as the center maintains, and the quarterback is also rolling out, so what you're doing is you're creating a straight line obstacle. So you can see that the quarterback's here, you got a straight line obstacle, but once that blocker cuts off of your angle, then they let that rusher go. So one of the other things I want to point out on this, and I'm going to slow it down, is that was an act of stripping the football. And I want to kind of show you what that's going to look like, but I want to get to that point first. And I apologize, this is not my normal program. I had to throw this together at 4 in the morning last night. But what we're watching is this player over here coming in. So let me slow this down a bit. And what this player does, and she's very savvy, is she'll reach low, but she will intentionally strike the ball. And then she'll wrap around the waist and get the flags. So the left hand intentionally punches the ball, and then she goes for the flags. So in this instance, that would be an illegal strip because she intentionally went to punch the ball. The ball is dead where it lands, and then we're just gonna tack it onto the run from there. Okay, let me get back to my speed here.
I got something on that.
Sure.
So couldn't you call it both ways? Couldn't that be flag guarding since she held the ball next to her flag?
Well, the ball was above the belt, but
you know,
So the ball's above the belt, so that is not flag guarding, right there. She's punching the ball out that's high, and then she's going for the flags that are lower.
Okay. Okay. I'm just letting you know what people do to flag guard. They use the ball and put it next to their flag.
I do appreciate that. We're looking for lots of video on that too to help people out with identifying that.
Yeah.
Hey Matt, Kenny Joseph from Wine IC Riders.
Hey, Kenny.
All right. On the blocking, that blocker is not posted up 2 yards before the defender.
That's true.
So
Yeah, that's one of the changes. So as long as blockers are moving in the same line or close enough to the same line, meaning not coming in at separate angles, then they can maintain their movement and their position between the rusher and the runner.
So we're eliminating the 2 yard post.
We're not eliminating that if you're going to be in a stationary position and you're not running in the same line.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so like I said, I just got a couple of plays here. Play number 2 coming up. This is a, I just wanted to give you an example of the snap depth here. There's 7.5. There's nothing special about what goes on here. Just a catch and run. I do want to go back. And this is not going to be something we harp on, especially this year. But one of the things I noticed, because the girls haven't been used to playing football, at least at this level, is that they're all lining up in the ball. So this foot's in the ball, this foot's in the ball, this foot's in the ball, and we're going to try to get people out of the ball on offense. The defense is fine here because they're 1 yard off the ball, and our field should be marked well enough. But I will tell you, we're going to be lenient on this because I know that nobody's used to that yet. So we're going to try to work our way through that in the preseason and see how that develops. But I just want to let you know that was something that jumped out when we were out at scrimmages. This is just more screen blocking. So you've only got what appears to be one rusher here, but anybody can come. Hold on, let me get this note out of the way. And you can see that she's running the same way, but when that rusher gets the advance on her, then she lets up, and then that rusher turns the corner. This is quite a good athlete here. So just a replay of it, you got a little bit of a screen, and then she pulls off when the quarterback rolls out. And they do plan this. They know which way the quarterback's going to roll, so they know which way they need to screen. And she has pretty good form here. Let's go back to your point earlier about flag guarding. When she's in open field, she does run her left hand low. But when you get into a crowd, which is right here, then you got to make sure those hands are up, which in this case, the ball is way up and the left hand is up. So she's okay. So this is the PAT directly after that score. And we're looking at 14 again. The 14 was the player that slapped at the ball to get it dislodged and then went for the belt. She does the same thing here. And what we'll try to do over the course of the season, if players tend to have a tendency to do that, then we'll identify them and talk with you before the game. If we have enough huddle video, which you guys are welcome to send me your thoughts and concerns on. So what she's trying to do is create an incomplete pass because of the timing. So we got 1, 2, and a third foot, and then she goes for the ball, and then she goes for the belt. So it's just one of the many things we're going to have to be looking for. But you can see that left hand goes for the ball, then the right hand goes for the belt.
Hey, Matt, Kenny Joseph, why not again?
Yep.
So I noticed in the center on this has their head position over the ball. You guys letting that go too?
We're gonna let the centers be comfortable in however they snap the ball.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, it was more just the other players because we don't want to. It's only a foot to 14 inches, but we don't want either team to have an advantage. And because the defense has to stay a full yard back, we'd like to have the offense behind the ball, other than the center. And if it's a side snap, and her foot's in front of the ball, if that's how she's comfortable getting the ball there, that's fine.
Got it.
If her head's over the ball and she snaps it between her legs, and that's how she's comfortable, that's fine.
Got it. Thank you.
This is a punt scenario. So in this situation, if you get to a fourth down, you're going to have to declare. And that doesn't mean your play clock stops. Your play clock continues to run. After third down, the play clock starts at 40 seconds automatically. You declare, and then you have to get that ball snapped before those 40 seconds expire. And you have the same clock on your kicker as your quarterback has, a 7-second clock. And you can see there's a little bit more movement here because we've got crossing bodies. But this is where we got to your question was, is the offense moving in the same direction as the defense? And we'd like to see more stationary as the colors come together on these returns. There wasn't any issues here, but there's a lot to watch out there.
Okay,
This is a backward. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
my bad. Sorry. Got it.
Have it.
So when they punt the ball off,
Yeah.
can I just run in a straight line? Because I know that's what like the mainland do. They just run in a straight line, and the girl uses them as pins. Because they're not getting in nobody's way. They're just running up the field.
Can they run in a straight line?
Run
If they're running forward,
Yeah.
and they obstruct a defender because they're running forward and the defender's running opposite, they're going to have to get stationary.
Okay.
Unless they're just not an obstacle at all. I mean, I know the girls are going to want to get upfield and they're going to be excited about it. If they're not an obstacle at all, there's no problem with their movements. It's when they're heading straight at each other, then that becomes a safety concern.
Okay.
Or from the side, that whole blind side thing happens too. But we would like them to be as safe as possible out there.
Okay. Thank you.
One more thing on the punt, Kenny Joseph again.
Sure.
So when the ball hits the ground, that's a dead ball.
No. And that's an interesting aspect to this. If the ball hits the ground and it hasn't touched a player, it's live. If it touches a player and then hits the ground, it's dead.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. And there is an example of this later. So I think this was play 6. So this is a backward pass followed by a forward pass followed by an interception. Just a lot going on, but this is another way that you can avoid rushes. But if you want to game plan this, just watch your rushers. They both come immediately, kick the ball out, and then you got your forward pass. This was all played pretty clean right there. I didn't see any problem with that play at all. This is full speed and then in slow motion. This is a pass interference. It's also illegal contact because she plays through the back. Then we have our return. So because she played through the back, it becomes a personal foul. If it's a personal foul, it's 10 yards and an automatic first down. You saw this guy over here saying, throw the flag. Get that a lot. These are just screen blocks, just another example of, some screen blocks that these girls are executing properly. Pushing the defender deeper than the defender wants to go because they're staying in the same line with them. I didn't even look at see if there was any flag guarding problems here. Let's look at that. Yeah, left arm is dropping a little bit there, so we'll be, focused on that. The right arm stayed up with the football. So this is a referee. You can see this mechanic here. I wasn't going to do this originally, but some of you asked that be done. So we are going to do 2 visible clock signals. So our timer, who's going to be in the booth for our games on Oahu, because at the moment we're working a 3-person mechanic, then the timer is going to call down when there's 10 seconds left on the play clock. The referee will raise their arm at 10 and start ticking off at 5. And when the arm extends fully at 5, that's when the 40-second clock is gone. And we don't have any leeway on that because this is a pretty fast-paced game. And based on my observations and watching films from other states, once we get our rhythm going, it usually doesn't take even 30 seconds to get the next ball off. So this will be a tick off. Now, if the snap gets off clean, then this just converts to a 7-second tick off, right? That's the pass clock or the punt clock. So before the snap, this is the play clock. After the snap, this is the quarterback punter clock. Another interception in the end zone that results in a touchback. You can see you got a motion player. And this is it. You see 23 here. I want to bring that out to your attention. We'll do the slow motion again. You see 23. She starts side shifting, and this is not really what we want. We don't want that side shift unless your quarterback is moving that way and everybody's moving that way. So here it's okay. But if the quarterback was in the pocket and the defender went that way, we wouldn't want your blocker going that way. We'd want your blocker coming back to then create an angle between the rusher and the quarterback instead of creating a new angle, which is not in the direction of the quarterback.
Kenny Joseph, why not serious? That's going to be a lot to teach in a few weeks.
I get it. Yeah, I know.
I hope you guys gonna be lenient on those things because that's a lot. These girls.
We're going to be lenient. I will tell you this: without contact, we're going to be very lenient. If you initiate any type of forceful contact, then that's going to get called. In
We
this
get
case,
8 days.
there was no contact, so it's not an issue.
Whew.
They don't have pads on, so contact is not what we want, right?
No, I get it, but trying to teach them all of this technique in the short time that we have is going to be a tough one for all the coaches in the state.
Got it. Yeah, I know. And the officials and the players. I get it.
As long as the officials stay consistent.
That's what every coach wants, right? Consistency without too much nitpicking. So that's what we're going to try to sell down the officiating lines. This is a 4th down unsuccessful conversion. So outside of 2 minutes and 2 and 4, this is just a standard 40-second play clock. So we just have to be ready to bring our offense in if the other team is running a 4th down, as we would if they declared a punt. We need to be ready to bring the offense in. In this case, they didn't get it off in time. It seemed like maybe they didn't have their play call ready. So this is just a reminder, the 40-second clock, this is a live clock almost the entire time. So this play has a player who goes in motion that cuts up. So if a player goes in motion parallel at the snap, they're fine, but they can't be moving forward at the snap like in arena football or Canadian football. So just like American men's football, they have to maintain a parallel line or stop. So in this case, our girl in motion cuts forward just prior to the snap. So this is an illegal motion call. Interestingly, let's say they're snapping at this big line right here. Interestingly, they accepted this penalty, even though there was no gain on the play. So there is an option here, depending on the down and distance, as to what you might want to do. Do you want to accept the penalty or accept the results of the play? Because accepting this penalty does replay the down, even though it brings it back 5 yards from the previous spot. So just, thinking about your options. If you have any questions about that, go ahead and ask the official what your options are, and, we'll get that worked out. We will try to be warning oriented on the first illegal motion we see, as long as it's not excessive. This was a one-stepper, so I would hope to see a warning on that before you get hit on this. But just letting you know, we're going to try to be as lenient as possible. This is an illegal shift because they don't all get set for a second. Just a reminder, we're going to try to be lenient on this as possible, but you need to get your player set for a second before you snap. This is another punt declared. Again, a little movement before the snap and a catch and run. And you can see these players trying to shift into positions where they can get stationary. It didn't apply because the runner didn't get that far, but they're working at it. This is an illegal sub. We try not to Hawkeye these. We try not to tell, we try not to say how smart we are, because this is a one-step snap and off. We're going to try to not see those. If it's two steps, they're on the field. We got to call the illegal sub. But this one was tight enough that they could have let it go. There's another backward-forward pass. I did time this out. I did not see that the flag was pulled prior to her throwing that backward pass. There was some concern by the coaches about the timing on that. But it looked really, really tight. Want to give the benefit of doubt. Looks like the ball's gone, and the flags are just now coming down. You can see, I also want to bring up this. You see this player right here complaining about that. Hey, obviously her flags were pulled. We're not always right, but we don't need their help. If there's help to be had, the coaches can call their timeout or wait between downs, and we can discuss things then. This is an interesting play because there's no rushers. I'm sorry, there's two rushers and no blockers. So the offense does a sub, perfectly legal. You want to get them set for a second. Not yet. Not yet. Set for a second. You got two rushers coming in, identifies it right away, goes to that same player. When we have these leaps to block, we can't come down on the thrower, which they did not. Just more examples of some proper screen blocks. Got another one right here. Here's some screen blocks with an interception. So moving back, one's hands are behind, one hands are to the side. They did a pretty good job of knocking her off her, or being an obstacle to her course to the thrower.
Hey, Matt, the defense made contact with the offense.
Which you're talking about here?
No,
You're
on
talking
the
about downfield or upfield?
no, on the rusher. See that right there? That was contact.
I know. And we are going to, as we talked about early, because this is going to be difficult, and I did use the word forceful. I could also use dislodging. This was more of a cutoff, and I didn't see that as falling into that category.
All right.
we can argue both ways, but we're going to try to create a standard, and the only way we can do that is to implement, dislodging or forceful contact.
I'm okay with the contact, but I'm just saying I get it. Thanks.
Okay. There's contact right here too. A little bit of a hook contact. I didn't think enough to call a holding on. She's sliding down to get that flag, and also she's kind of involved in the action of the termination point. See that? She went up, touched the ball first, comes down. She's kind of right there. They're on top of each other. So I don't see this as an issue. Okay. So this punt has a bobble on the reception, but it does not hit the ground. You can see the ref clock here. He's ticking off the 40 seconds. They get the snap off. He starts a 7. A little bit of a bobble. We're all okay. This one was interesting because the ball is being snapped 1 yard behind the big line. So this, I do want to caution on this. We are going to use entire body has to be over the line of scrimmage, the offensive line of scrimmage, before this becomes an illegal kick or an illegal punt. But she's pushing the limit right here because the ball was snapped 1 yard behind this big line. So just keep in mind that if the punter does take 3 steps forward, you might want to start him 4 steps back. And this one is grounded, and because it's not touched, it is returnable by the return team here. One more look at that. Long punt, grounded, live. Now, if she muffed that and it hit the ground, then it would be over. But she did not muff it, so she's able to return it. This is a long pass, deep left end zone, incidental contact. They're both playing the ball. They fall down together. That's not a foul. I just want to bring this in because we do have a touch rule if a player does not have flags. So in this case, the quarterback takes the ball, throws a backward pass. No problem there. But because the rushers were trying to get to her before she threw that, the flags get stripped. So now we have a player without flags. If that quarterback catches the ball, she's now subject to one-hand touch. Because her flags came off legally because they were trying to get her before she threw it. And now she's still a player, so if she catches it, it's one-hand touch. This is a pretty interesting technique. So you see this receiver right here? She is kind of eyeing this rush out here. She's not a primary receiver. So she does back up prior to the defense getting there, thinking, am I going to be an obstruction? She gets set pretty good. So I thought that was a pretty nice job on her part. And this is the one play I found in this game that I felt was an illegal block in the backfield. And that's because the defense is running a 2 outside blitz. So 14's blitzing and whatever number this is blitzing. And it doesn't get picked up by this person as far as her key is. She gets over here late, cuts off the path of a defender with a direct line to the quarterback and not moving in the same direction as the defender, ends up being a big collision. So this is what I would consider an illegal block on the offense. Sorry, I pointed out the wrong player. So it's this player right here. She picks it up late. And she did get injured on that play. This resulted in a touchdown, and it didn't get called back. But when I looked at that play, to me, that is what we're talking about as far as illegal contact, not moving in the same direction, getting there at the last minute, and creating a collision.